The Lake Tahoe shoreline sparkled like a jewel under the summer sun, its pristine waters framed by towering pines and million-dollar homes. Tourists strolled along the boardwalk, snapping selfies with the snow-capped mountains in the distance. But behind one luxury villa, a plot was unfolding. One that would end in blood, betrayal, and a headline that would shake the sports world. Mike Danner had once been a household name. In the late 1990s, he stood tall on Major League Baseball mounds, throwing fastballs that left batters frozen in place. Sports commentators praised his precision, his mental toughness, and his almost mechanical delivery. His jersey was a bestseller. Kids collected his baseball cards, and for nearly a decade he seemed untouchable. But that was then. By 2023, the glory was long gone. His arm had given out years earlier. His endorsements had dried up. His once lucrative investments had tanked. And a bitter divorce had stripped him of half his fortune. Rumors swirled of gambling debts, failed business ventures, and shady friends. But the darkest rumors were still to come. A life rebuilt on appearances. Mike had moved to Lake Tahoe 3 years prior, buying a $3.2 million waterfront mansion. Money he didn't seem to have. Neighbors saw him at high-end restaurants, on the golf course, and piloting his sleek white yacht. He still dressed like a man at the top, but whispers behind closed doors said otherwise. He was broke. The mansion was mortgaged to the hilt. The yacht had been leased. The Rolex on his wrist was allegedly fake. But for Mike, image was everything, and he would go to any length to keep it intact. Enter the target. Her name was Victoria Sloan, a 62-year-old widow who had inherited a sprawling Lake Tahoe estate worth over $23 million. She was known for her philanthropic work, her art collection, and her private nature. She rarely attended social events, but when she did, her diamond necklaces and designer gowns drew attention. Mike met her at a charity gala in late 2022. Witnesses say he turned on the charm instantly, playing the role of the washed-up but humble sports hero. Victoria was polite but guarded. She had no idea that from the moment they shook hands, Mike saw her not as a potential friend, but as a jackpot. The cyberstalking begins. By early 2023, Mike had begun a quiet, methodical campaign of surveillance, most of it digital. Using burner accounts, he tracked Victoria's online activities, her Instagram posts revealing when she traveled, her Zillow profile that hinted she might be preparing to sell one of her properties, charity newsletters listing her public appearances. Through a contact in the local yacht club, Mike learned that Victoria's security cameras hadn't been updated in years, and that she often stayed at her second home in Napa for weeks at a time. He even hacked into her home Wi-Fi by guessing the password, her late husband's name followed by their wedding year. From there, he allegedly accessed her email and financial records. What he found shocked him. Victoria had over $15 million in liquid assets in addition to her real estate. To Mike, it was like spotting a fat pitch right over the plate. All he had to do was swing. The murder plot takes shape. Prosecutors would later say Mike's plan was calculated and cold-blooded. He began recruiting 2 old acquaintances from his minor league days, both now desperate for cash. One was promised $100,000 to handle the dirty work. The other was to act as the getaway driver. Mike's idea was simple. Make Victoria disappear, forge documents granting him access to her estate, and cash out before anyone could connect the dots. He believed his fame and good guy image would shield him from suspicion. He was wrong. The night that changed everything. On August 14, 2023, Victoria returned to Lake Tahoe after 2 weeks in Napa. That night, she was seen dining alone at a lakeside restaurant. Surveillance footage captured her leaving in her black Mercedes around 9:45 p.m. An hour later, her security cameras, old and grainy, recorded 2 masked figures entering her driveway. One carried a duffel bag. Moments later, the feed went dark. By morning, Victoria was gone. Her car was found abandoned 3 miles away near a hiking trail. Inside the trunk, a blood-stained scarf. In the coming weeks, whispers of her disappearance would become national news. But what the public didn't know yet was that police were already watching Mike Danner closely. and his online trail was about to unravel everything. The investigation into the Lake Tahoe murder plot was no longer confined to physical evidence. As detectives dove deeper, they discovered that the real story was playing out in the shadows of the internet. In encrypted chats, anonymous social media accounts, and hidden cloud folders that painted a chilling picture of premeditation, a digital shadow emerges. Forensic specialists from the FBI's cyber division were brought in to comb through devices seized from the suspect's rental cabin. His laptop, despite an attempted factory reset, still contained fragments of emails, browser histories, and encrypted messages that could be reconstructed. They found a trail of suspicious searches. Untraceable poison for sale. How to hire a hitman on the dark web. Disappearing bodies in Lake Tahoe. The timeline of these searches matched key moments in the victim's daily schedule. A disturbing sign of detailed surveillance. The role of social media stalking. It turned out that the victim, a wealthy entrepreneur and former business partner of the ex-MLB pitcher, was unknowingly broadcasting his own movements. His Instagram stories and Facebook check-ins revealed dinner reservations, weekend getaways, and even live videos from his favorite lakeside jogging path. Investigators believe the suspect used these posts to pinpoint times when the victim would be most vulnerable. The digital stalking was meticulous. Every comment, photo tag, and location pin became a breadcrumb leading to the victim's whereabouts. The burner phone network. More disturbing was the discovery of multiple burner phones linked to encrypted messaging apps. These devices connected to Wi-Fi networks near the victim's properties, but were registered under fake names. Through these phones, the suspect had allegedly coordinated with an accomplice, sending detailed maps, security camera blind spots, and getaway routes. One chilling audio message recovered from the app stated, "This time, no mistakes. He won't see it coming." The voice matched the suspect's, according to preliminary forensic analysis. The cryptocurrency trail. Money was moving too quietly but traceably. Investigators uncovered transactions totaling $125,000 in cryptocurrency, transferred through a series of mixers designed to hide the source. These payments appeared to be tied to online accounts advertising private security services on dark web forums, which authorities suspected was code for contract killings. Despite these precautions, blockchain analysis allowed agents to map the flow of funds. Eventually, one transaction led to an account that had been accessed from the suspect's cabin Wi-Fi. A growing case, a tightening net. The cyber evidence painted a damning picture. The suspect was digitally shadowing the victim. He had searched for methods to commit an undetectable murder. He communicated in real time with possible hired accomplices. He moved large sums of money in ways consistent with paying for illicit services. With each new discovery, the motive became clearer and the planning more elaborate. What began as a bitter personal feud appeared to have escalated into a calculated, technology-enabled assassination attempt, one worth millions. What investigators didn't yet know was just how close the plan had come to succeeding. That chilling revelation would come in the next chapter, when an intercepted message tipped them off to a date, a time, and a location. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. By the spring of 2024, the picturesque Lake Tahoe home that once symbolized success had turned into the epicenter of a tangled criminal plot. Inside its glass walls, overlooking the pristine blue waters, former MLB pitcher Ryan Caldwell was weaving a dangerous web, one built on greed, betrayal, and the reach of technology. For months, investigators had been quietly building their case. Phone records painted a damning picture. Encrypted text messages to a burner phone, late-night internet searches about painless assassination methods, and even GPS pings placing Ryan in suspicious locations at odd hours. But the most chilling find wasn't physical, it was digital. The cyber trail. The FBI's cybercrimes unit discovered Ryan had been using a combination of dark web forums and cryptocurrency transactions to arrange what they believed was a murder-for-hire scheme. His target? A business partner who had accused him of embezzling millions from a joint real estate venture. The motive was as old as time, money, but the execution was disturbingly modern. Ryan allegedly offered $250,000 in Bitcoin to an anonymous hitman he'd found online, with detailed instructions, surveillance routes of the victim's daily jogs, security camera blind spots around the victim's home, hacking into the victim's smart devices to track movements in real time. This wasn't the rage-fueled crime of a man pushed to the brink. This was calculated, precise, and terrifyingly efficient cyberstalking turned lethal. The victim's perspective. The intended victim, 46-year-old Michael Torres, had noticed strange things for months. His garage door opening by itself, thermostat settings changing, security alerts that led nowhere. He thought it was a glitch until he received an anonymous text. "You won't live to see the summer." Michael contacted police, who quickly linked the intrusion to a sophisticated hack. What he didn't know at the time was that the threat came from a man he'd once considered a friend. A critical mistake. For all his planning, Ryan made a rookie error. He accessed one of the dark web forums from his personal laptop before switching to his anonymizing software. That single IP address ping led investigators straight to his Lake Tahoe home. From that moment, every keystroke, every email, every hidden file was quietly logged by law enforcement. Mounting pressure. As the digital net closed in, Ryan's public life began to fray. Friends noticed he was drinking more, his hands trembling even during casual conversations. He canceled public appearances, claiming family emergencies, while spending nights pacing his kitchen, phone in hand, as if waiting for a message that would seal his fate or save him. By early 2024, the murder plot was no longer a whispered suspicion. It was a documented threat. Law enforcement had amassed a mountain of evidence, much of it thanks to the killer's own overconfidence in using technology. What had once been a clever plan to stay hidden now became the very trail that would lead to his undoing. Detectives secured warrants to comb through his emails, social media accounts, and encrypted messaging apps, while he had taken steps to cover his tracks. Using VPNs, burner phones, and anonymous payment methods, his mistakes were inevitable. On one occasion, he logged into a clean email account from his home Wi-Fi. That single error tied him to a suspicious alias used to purchase both surveillance equipment and a weapon. The most damning find came from a secure chat log where he had outlined the final phase of the plan, detailing how the hit would be staged as a boating accident on Lake Tahoe. The target was set to inherit $23 million, and his digital messages openly discussed the financial windfall as the primary motive. Meanwhile, the victim, still unaware of the full scope of the conspiracy, was being watched more closely than ever. GPS logs from a tracking device attached to their car revealed weeks of detailed movement patterns. Digital forensics showed that the killer had accessed Google Earth multiple times to map out secluded drop-off points along the shoreline. But law enforcement wasn't just watching from afar. They were baiting him. An undercover officer posed as an out-of-town hitman, communicating with him via encrypted messaging. Each exchange was carefully documented, with timestamps and location pings preserved. Even when the killer insisted on using a public library computer to send final instructions, hidden security cameras caught him in the act. By spring, the digital web was woven tight enough to snap. But rather than move in immediately, investigators decided to let the plan run just a little longer, knowing that catching him in motion would guarantee an airtight case. Surveillance teams camped out near the marina. Drones tracked his movements, and undercover agents shadowed him at every turn. What the killer didn't know was that the moment he made his final move, every click, every message, and every keystroke would come crashing down on him in a way that no baseball career or high-profile status could save him from. The air inside the Washoe County Courthouse was so heavy, it felt like each breath carried the weight of years of fear, greed, and deception. Spectators filled every bench, journalists' cameras poised for the shot that would capture the fall of a man who once stood on the pitcher's mound before tens of thousands of fans. Now, Robert "Bobby" Kane, once a promising MLB star, stood shackled in a faded orange jumpsuit, his once famous fastball arm hanging limp at his side. The trial had been a spectacle from the start. Prosecutors painted a chilling picture. Kane, broke after bad investments and a gambling addiction, allegedly orchestrated a murder-for-hire plot to kill his wealthy former business partner, David Linton, in Lake Tahoe. The motive? A disputed $23 million real estate deal. It wasn't just about greed, it was about revenge. Emails, text messages, and encrypted chat logs revealed that Cain had stalked Linton online for months, tracking his movements with GPS trackers hidden under his luxury SUV. He even hacked into Linton's security cameras, watching his every move from a dimly lit room hundreds of miles away. The smoking gun. But the moment that sealed Cain's fate came when prosecutors unveiled a damning piece of evidence. A voice memo recovered from a burner phone. In it, Cain's voice could be heard saying, "Make it look like a boating accident. No witnesses. I want him gone before the deal closes." The defense fought hard, claiming the audio was doctored and that Cain was the victim of a frame-up by shady investors. They argued that his communications were taken out of context and that the supposed hitman was actually a con artist who exaggerated Cain's words for his own gain. But the prosecution had more: digital payment receipts, cryptocurrency transfers, and CCTV footage showing Cain meeting with the so-called hitman in a Reno parking garage. A shocking twist. Just when the jury thought they'd heard it all, an unexpected witness took the stand. Jennifer Linton, the victim's estranged wife. She claimed that Cain and David Linton had been close friends for years, and that she suspected they had been involved in shady offshore deals long before the murder plot came to light. Her testimony suggested that Cain wasn't the only one with secrets, and it cast a shadow over the entire case. The defense seized on this, hinting that David Linton's hands weren't clean either. The final moments. After 12 days of deliberation, the jury filed back into the courtroom. The foreman, his hands trembling, read the verdict. "We, the jury, find the defendant, Robert Cain, guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, guilty of first-degree attempted murder, and guilty of cyberstalking." A collective gasp filled the room. Cain's face went pale, but he showed no emotion, just the cold stare of a man who realized the game was truly over. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole, calling his actions a chilling reminder of how technology can turn obsession into deadly intent. The aftermath. In the weeks following the verdict, Cain's story became a media sensation. True crime podcasts dissected every detail. Reddit threads debated his guilt, and documentaries were pitched within days. But one question lingered. Was Cain truly the sole mastermind? Or had the $23 million deal involved deeper, darker forces that would never see the inside of a courtroom? For Lake Tahoe, the waters remained calm, but beneath the surface, the ripples of greed, betrayal, and digital-age crime would never fully disappear. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell.